Gold and silver, on the other hand, were way up. Gold was up about $160 since Friday. We closed almost at 47.60. 47.58 is the last I'm looking at it. We closed on Friday at just about 4,600 even. Maybe it was slightly below. I think it was just below 4,600. Maybe 45.95, something like that. So $160, a 3.5% move up in gold. Silver did even better, was up 4.5%. We closed above 94, about 94.40 and change. And we traded, I think, above 95.5 intraday. So that's the new record high. I mean, we were actually closer to 100 than we were to 90 in silver. So big move up in gold and silver. Could have been better, but good days. The GDX was up 5.7%, and the GDXJ was up 6.2%. Now, I mentioned on Friday, on the Schiff Gold Friday market wrap, that I thought that the action in the mining stocks was very constructive to a rally this week, because even though gold and silver finished down on the day, gold was down about 20, 30 bucks, silver was down a couple of bucks, the gold stocks all rallied and the silver stocks rallied. So that, to me, it looked like investors were starting to realize that it doesn't matter if gold and silver go down.
If this historical breakdown helping you, America like the video with and subscribe for more insights on the dollar, silver, falling sharply, and real money. At the same time, let us know in the comments what you think the gold-silver ratio to nearly $4,760, while silver jumped over 4.5% to new record highs above $94.95. Mining stocks confirmed the move, with GDX up 5.7% and GDXJ up 6.2%, even outperforming on days metals dipped. Schiff says this shows investors are waking up to how undervalued miners are, with upside that doesn't depend on short-term metal pullbacks. Peter Schiff will now explain how select mining stocks are posting explosive gains, with some hitting new 52-week highs in a single day. He will argue that despite these rallies, miners are actually cheaper than a year ago because gold and silver prices have risen even faster. Schiff will conclude that the speed may be surprising, but this marks a new phase where mining stocks remain deeply undervalued. What's your take on the markets? Are you stacking gold and silver or watching from the sidelines? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.
And some of the stocks had really good days today. Just as an example, my best performing gold stock was I Am Gold. That one was up 15.5% today. Of course, it's at a 52-week high. We actually own that. It's one of our top 5 holdings. Not just do we own it in the gold fund, it's one of my top 5 holdings in the Euro-Pacific International Value Fund, which, by the way, will be probably the #1 fund in its category year to date out of over 300 funds, in part because we do have some gold stocks as part of the portfolio, one of them being I Am Gold. So that one was up 15.5%. My best performing stock on the day that I own myself is a small silver company, which actually we own in the gold fund too. But Silver Crown Royalties was up 40% in one day, right? So this gives you an idea of what can happen. And by the way, 52-week low on this stock, 381. Where is it now? 1275 is where it closed. Today's high is 1360. So this gives you an idea of the size of the moves that have been made. But despite the fact that gold and silver stocks have moved up so much, I believe they're cheaper now than they were a year ago before the big move. That's because of the huge increase in the price of gold and silver. Now, I expected this big increase, although, to be honest, I didn't expect it to happen this rapidly. But it's even surprised me a bit, the speed that the market is rallying. Not that we're at these prices. I actually expected us to be at these prices a long time ago. We're finally catching up to where I knew we were going to be. But clearly, we're moving a lot faster. This is going to continue. So it's a whole new ballgame for these mining stocks.
Schiff says it was a full sell America day, with U.S. stocks, bonds, and the dollar all falling sharply. The Dow dropped about 870 points, while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ fell more than 2%, and Treasury yields surged toward 4.5 to 5%. At the same time, the dollar weakened broadly as confidence in U.S. assets faded. Gold jumped about $160 to near $4,760, while silver outperformed with a 4.5% surge.
Pretty much everything related to the United States was down. It was really a sell America day, and I think this really is going to set the tone for the rest of the year. The Dow Jones dropped over 800 points today. Let me see the exact decline. 870 points, about 1.75%. And both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 were down a little over 2%. But it wasn't just U.S. stocks that were down. Bonds really got clobbered. In fact, the yield on a 10-year Treasury is now up to 4.3%. It had gotten down to about 4% around the time of the last quarter point Fed rate cut. But we are now headed higher. I think we're going to be back at 4.5% in short order. And in fact, the 30-year yield is now back above 4.9. I think we could be above 5% by next week. The dollar index also tanking today across the board, down almost a full percent, down 0.8 to 98.58. So dollar down, U.S. Treasuries, U.S. bonds down, U.S. stocks down. Gold and silver, on the other hand, were way up. Gold was up about $160 since Friday. We closed almost at 47.60. 47.58 is the last I'm looking at it. We closed on Friday at just about 4,600 even. Maybe it was slightly below. I think it was just below 4,600.
Peter Schiff views Trump's Greenland controversy as a catalyst pushing the world away from the U.S. dollar. He argues Trump's aggressive rhetoric highlights U.S. overreach, triggering market reactions and dollar weakness. While disputing claims of the hottest economy, Schiff notes the use of U.S. military might is influencing global financial decisions.
But the reason that this is going to happen was highlighted this weekend with Donald Trump's rhetoric, right? That it is basically giving the world a strong reason to do what they should have done decades ago and what I have been expecting them to do. Little did I know that the catalyst would be Greenland. I mean, who the hell knew that, right? That would be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Would be what causes ultimately the mass exodus out of the U.S. dollar, and what causes the U.S. dollar to lose its reserve currency status would be Greenland. And I said something about that on my last podcast. I could not believe what the president was saying. And of course, he's getting all this support, from Republicans who are afraid to stand up because what he's saying is idiotic. Yet all of his cabinet members, all of the Republican pundits on television, the rest of the Senate Republicans, they're all standing behind the absurdity of what the president is saying about Greenland. And what caused the big sell-off on Sunday night and then Monday here and Tuesday was Donald Trump basically reiterating that, look, we're going into Greenland whether the Greenlanders want it or not. We can either do it my way or the highway, the easy way or the hard way. We're bringing the troops in and taking it over. We need Greenland. We got to have Greenland, right? We need it for national security. We need it for whatever, the resources, the oil and gas, the strategic minerals. We need it, and we're going to take it. And I pointed this out, that Trump said, look, we got the hottest economy in the world, and we have the strongest military in the world. Now, he's wrong about the hottest economy, but he is correct that we have the strongest military.
Peter Schiff warns that most Americans could face financial ruin But following his economic survival plan can protect and even grow wealth as the dollar collapses. He urges people to act quickly, invest in physical gold and silver, and consider his mutual funds to safeguard their portfolios. Schiff emphasizes that while the U.S. economy falters, gains can still be made outside America without leaving the country.
We don't have to share in that fate. Unfortunately, I wish there was something I could do to help avert it, but I can't, right? I try to go on Fox News and tell the truth, and the president gets me kicked off, right? You're not allowed to criticize Trump on Fox News, right? So much for freedom of the press. But look, there's nothing I can do about this disaster, right? But I can save as many people as I can, right? We don't all have to go broke just because the country is going to go broke, right? A few Americans could manage to survive it financially, and they will if they follow my plan. I've got this economic survival plan that will not only protect your wealth, but allow you to increase your wealth as the dollar collapses and other assets rise in value. What's lost in America will be gained outside America, but you don't have to live outside America. You can own the assets that are gaining the value that U.S. assets are losing, right? That's what we're doing. So make sure and go to the Europac website, europac.com. Look at my 5 mutual funds. You can buy them all, no load, any discount broker. But better yet, just call up the phone number, schedule an appointment, talk to the representatives, and transfer your retirement account over, your IRA over. Let us help you manage that. Let us help you build and manage your portfolio so that you can survive and thrive during very, very trying economic times that are going to be following the United States. And the timeline, I think, now is short, right? I mean, everything is kind of happening, and I think the pace is going to quicken. Remember the old saying, how did you go broke? Well, slowly at first, then all at once. Well, I think we've gone through the slowly part. We're now at the all at once part. So you have to act quickly. You got to buy your physical gold and silver. If you don't already have gold and silver, shame on you, but buy it now.
What's your take on the markets? Are you stacking gold and silver or watching from the sidelines? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.